Hey nerds, welcome back to Read by a Redhead. I'm Martha, Redhead, and today I am uber excited to come to you with my wrap-up for the Adventures Through Wonderland Readathon. And I absolutely loved this. It was a month-long readathon, all middle grade based, and it was amazing. It got me totally back in love with middle grade books. I haven't picked one up in ages. And I ended up completing the readathon by like halfway through the month and then just continuing with reading more middle grade afterwards. I've decided that rather than just me sitting wittering to you about the books I read, I'm going to paint my face to match the books that I loved. This is my entire stack of books that I read for the readathon, and the first one I finished was for the very first prompt, which was read a book set in a magical setting. And this for me was Hollowpox. Now, yes, this is not the final cover, and this is a very, very lucky early proof that I got, and the actual book comes out later this month in October. So for Hollowpox, to link with the cover and with a sneaky plot point, I'm going to be doing green on my eyes. If you see me keep looking down, it's because my mirror's straight below where my phone is, so that'll be why that looks a bit funny. Editing Martha here from the future. Poor little me had no idea when I said that what I actually mean is I'm going to spend a lot of the video showing you this. And it was a new setup for doing look reviews and I really liked it, but clearly I've got little bits to work out. Luckily, when I was doing the readathon, I actually filmed a couple of little clips when I was reading the books, so as much as I can, I'm going to insert those just to cover the bits where all you're going to see is the top of my head looking a bit messy. I'm sorry, hopefully I can improve on this before next time. So I knew I was going to love Hollowpox. I just knew, because I love the Nevermore series so much. Did not expect how much I would love Hollowpox. Like, I genuinely think that it's now my second favourite in the trilogy. Nothing will beat actual Nevermore, because that first book just blew me away and I never had any expectation for how much I was going to adore it. But I do think this one beats Wondersmith. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about Hollowpox because, yes, I'm going to be doing a full look review for it. But I have to say that it was a true triumph. Without getting spoilery, it felt a bit weird at times because it linked quite a bit to stuff that's gone on this year to do with viruses and to do with racism, but in a magical, fun middle grade setting. And I just have to say, like Jessica Townsend, if you are some sort of oracle, please let us know life's gonna get better, because it's all I'm hoping for right now. But yes, it was truly magical. It was definitely perfect for a book set in a magical setting, because it could not have been more whimsical, more different to our world, and I have to say, yet again, the magic system blew me away. Like, it's such a clever magic system anyway, but this book really expanded on it, and I absolutely adored what this book did with it. Following on from Hollowpox, I continued with the little map. So I'd been down the rabbit hole, and after the rabbit hole I got to the flower garden, which was to read an aesthetically pleasing book. For this prompt I read The Last Ever After, which was the third book in the School for Good and Evil series, which is definitely aesthetically pleasing. Like, I love the School for Good and Evil covers. Like, they are absolutely stunning. And I love this series. I ended up finishing all 6, but this was the only one that came in under the readathon, and for this I am going to do black and white eyeliner to represent the 2 different schools. So this one I thought I'd really link in with the cover, as that's what it's on the list for. And if you spot on the cover, we have a black swan for the School for Good and a white swan for the School for Evil. And now I've got up to book 6. They come in a lot more. They really do. But yeah, I love this series. I don't really have that much I can say about these particular books because honestly, the whole series kind of blurs together in my mind. But I really loved this, and one of the things that really surprised me and how I loved this so one of the main characters is a witch and she's quite chubby, and it kind of frustrated me in some of the earlier books that it was used in quite a fat phobic way, and it was quite like, oh, she's one of the witches, she has to be fat, oh, we'll take the mick out of it. But actually there was like a little plot in, well, not a little plot, but a little moment in this book where she was like, I'm beautiful no matter whether I'm fat, whether I'm thin, I'm beautiful because of who I am. And I had a little cry while listening to that bit of the audiobook. It was beautiful and I really loved that. I also just have to say that Sophie and Agatha are two of my favourite female characters. Like, I was really surprised when I first found out that the author for these books is male, because I assumed that they were female based on the fact that the female friendship is so well written, and this book in particular really solidified how important their friendship is to them, and it was really sweet and it made me really happy. Yes, it was another 5-star read. Spoiler alert, my whole list for this ended up being 5-star reads. I do tend to rate the books I read quite highly. My average, I think, is something like 4.4, because most of the books I pick up and read are ones that I expect I'm going to love, but I didn't expect this entire list to be 5 stars. So this is when I broke the readathon rules. Well, I didn't break them, I just twisted them a bit. So the next prompt was meant to be the Cozy Night In, and I skipped it. I did it later, I promise you I did. I did the whole readathon, but I decided to next go to a book that I think I'll love, because I really, really wanted to read Don't Tell Him I'm a Mermaid by Laura Kirkpatrick. This is the sequel to And Then I Turned Into a Mermaid, which I read last year when it very first came out in May, and I adored it. And I actually was on a train and decided that this would be the perfect book to take on a train with me and sit and devour. I finished it halfway through my train journey and then got really upset that there's no more currently planned. But this one is actually the book that inspired me to turn this wrap-up into a makeup wrap-up, because when the book first came out, we had an event with Laura at Waterstones, and I turned up in my mermaid leggings, which I'm wearing today, and mermaid makeup. And then Laura turned up in the identical mermaid leggings, but no mermaid makeup. So sat in the middle of the basement in Waterstones, Newcastle, I painted mermaid scales onto Laura's face. And it's a highlight of my career, I have to say. I'll insert a picture of the kind of Instagram story of this occurring. It was very odd. So I decided I really wanted to draw mermaid scales on my face, but spoiler alert, I'm going to look really weird while doing this. Yes, it's October, but I promise you I'm not turning this into a horror video. It's just, this is the easiest way of drawing scales on your face. It's just a bit odd. Now that I'm terrifying everybody watching this video, hello, I'm going to add some mermaid scales down this side of my face and talk about Don't Tell Him I'm a Mermaid, which I absolutely loved. It was fantastic, and I have to say, I think I might have preferred it to the first book, which I really didn't expect, because I loved And Then I Turned Into a Mermaid so much. But for me, this was just fantastic, and it made me want to know so much more about the world and the history, which I think is why I was so upset that there isn't currently a sequel planned, because I need more. I need to know the rest of the story and what's going to happen next. But one of my favourite things in this series is the sister relationships. Now, I am the youngest of 4 siblings, 2 of which are sisters, so there's 3 of us all together. And yes, there are more sisters in the Seabrook family than mine, but their different dynamics, the different types of love they have between them really call to me and call to my family. I also absolutely adore all the representation in these books. Like, you've got different types of LGBT rep, including asexual rep, which was really cool. I also have a feeling that one of the sisters is quite autistic, and I don't know whether this is on purpose or whether that's just kind of like how she is. But yeah, to me, she definitely has a lot of autistic traits, and I actually really like that she was quite prominent in this book, and the fact that her and her sisters had quite a different relationship because of that was really interesting. And yeah, I absolutely adored that bit and had to almost cry on a train because it was just really sweet. Now for the reveal. Let's see if this worked or if I've just made a mess of everything. Hey, it worked. It is not perfect and I am stuck to my earring, so back in a sec. I'm no longer stuck to my earring, and if you have a look, it creates the little mermaid scales down your face, which I just love and it makes me happy. So yeah, I adored Don't Tell Him I'm a Mermaid. I'm quite upset that at the moment there is no sequel planned, but if Laura ever decides to write one, or if another one is like bought by the publisher, I will be the first person at the shop to buy it because it was fantastic. So after finishing Don't Tell Him I'm a Mermaid, which was me getting through the Queen of Hearts Palace, I then jumped to the Cheshire Cat, and for that one it was Read a Strange and Mysterious Book, and I chose Tilly and the Lost Fairytales, which is book 2 in the Pages & Co series, and this was strange and mysterious. It was perfect. I love this series anyway, and yes, I get rid of the dust jackets. I keep them in a box, if that makes anybody feel better, but the covers are this beautiful. Why would I want the dust jacket? But yeah, this was book 2 and I absolutely loved it. And for this one, I think what I'm going to do is, if you look on the back of the book, there's these like black splodges and they are very relevant to the plot, and also something I feel like I'm capable of drawing on my face. So I picked this one up, not sure what prompt I was going to use it for, to be honest. I just really wanted to read this series. Book 3 had just come out. Spoiler alert, it's the last book on this wrap up. But yeah, I knew I really finally wanted to read book 2. I'd actually read the start of book 2 ages ago when it first came out, but I wasn't in the right brain space for it and had never got around to finishing it, which I was really gutted about because I loved the first book so much and I knew I was going to continue to love the series. And I was not wrong. Book 2 was fantastic. It took us to Paris, which was so cool. We got to see more of Oscar's family, and like, I love Tilly and the Pages family, mostly because they live in a bookshop and I'm really jealous. But I really liked getting to see a bit more of Oscar's family and kind of how his dynamics worked differently to Tilly's. And I loved the fairy tale aspect. And particularly, there's a moment where the fairy tales, they jump through quite a few. They're quite a few in a small space of time. And it to me was just like a little cameo moment of, oh, that's them, oh, that's them. And I absolutely loved it. Now we come to the last book, and this is where I went all the way back to read a book for a cozy night in. And the reason that I kind of kept this one to the end was I was really busy. As I say, I read Don't Tell Him I'm a Mermaid on a train. There was a lot of stuff going on. But I came back, I just finished Tilly 2 when Tilly 3 came out. So I picked up Pages & Co, Tilly and Map of Stories, and I literally sat and read this in one evening. It was amazing. And this one is the special Waterstones exclusive edition with the sprayed edges, and again, dust jacket has gone because look at it. I am actually going to use this, which is like the red thread along the back. It really closely links to the story, and I also feel like it will connect my face up for the end of this wrap up. There really isn't that much I can say about the last like Pages & Co book without spoiling everything, because it is book 3 in the series. But what I will say was this book broke me. I was sobbing. It was absolutely fantastic, and I was so glad it was the book I decided to have for my cozy night in, because it worked, and it was a perfect sit with my blanket and a cup of hot chocolate and devour book. It was fantastic. I did laugh. There were happy moments. There were really happy moments, but I also cried like a baby, and I feel a bit better now because one of my best friends, Sam, has just finished it, and he messaged me like, I am not okay, I am sobbing, and I was like, oh good, because I did too. And I have to say, for a kids series, the amount of politics in this was fantastic, and it was so well done that I can't imagine it being complicated. Like, my niece is 9 and she's read the first book, and I'm just about to give her book 2 and book 3 now. I've finished them, and I don't think she'd have issues with it. And that's what I love about books like this, is that as an adult you can read it and get quite a lot extra out of it, but you know that kids still love it too. And like, I remember when she read book 1 and all of her focus was on, oh my god, Tilly got to meet Alice, Tilly got to meet these people, Tilly got to travel in books, oh, and there was the scary man. Whereas for me, I was like, oh, there's the underlibrary. I wonder how they control things. I wonder what the politics is like. And that's what I love about reading middle grade books as an adult, because you can pick out those extra little bits without it taking away from the magic. It's like rewatching Disney films and noticing the innuendos in them that just completely passed over your head when you were children. But yeah, I really like this. Also, there was a moment right at the beginning where there's somebody comes into the bookshop and he's like, oh, I want this book. And Tilly and her granddad are like, cool. And he's like, oh, but I can't remember what it's called. And I can't remember what colour the cover is. But you know what book I'm on about. And yes, this did end up kind of being a plot point to do with forgetting, but as a bookseller, I was howling because the amount of people come in and they're like, oh, there was this childhood book I really loved. Can you help me find it? And then I'm like, yeah, what can you remember? And they're like, um, and it's really frustrating, but also quite amusing afterwards. So yeah, I think that was a really cool little nod. And yeah, the little book nerd in me just, I want to jump in with Tilly and go book wandering. So that's it. That is my whole wrap up for the Adventures Through Wonderland Readathon. I had such a fun time, and I actually enjoyed it so much that I am going to be doing another readathon in November. I decided to take part in Believathon 3, which is created by Gavin, who, oh, there he is, was one of the co-hosts of this readathon, and it's another middle grade readathon. And I think after how much this one reminded me that I love middle grade, I cannot wait. Although it is 13 books, and I'm not sure I can get through 13 books in a month when there's other things I want to read too. But we'll see. We'll deal with that when we come to it. But yeah, did you take part in the Adventures Through Wonderland Readathon? If so, please tell me what you loved. What was your favourite book that you got to? Or if you've read any of the books on this list, let me know what you thought of them. But thank you so much for watching and making it all the way to the end. I don't really know what my face is looking like, but I'm quite happy with it. It works. And that's it from me. I'll see you soon for some more bookish content. Bye.